Every morning, millions of people wake up. They reach for their phone. They scroll through notifications. They rush into the chaos of the day, and without realizing it, they give away the most powerful moment of their morning because there is one tiny habit, simple, almost boring, that quietly separates disciplined people from distracted ones. Making your bed. At first, it sounds almost ridiculous. How can something so small, so ordinary, have anything to do with wealth? After all, billionaires are not rich because they straighten their bed sheets. But here's what most people miss. Making your bed is not about the bed. It's about what that action trains inside your mind. And over time, that mental training can shape the habits, discipline, and identity that wealth is built on. Let's break this down, step by step. Your brain is wired to love completion. Every time you finish a task, even something tiny, your brain releases dopamine. Dopamine is often called the feel-good chemical, but its real job is much more important. It reinforces behavior. It tells your brain, this action matters, do it again. Now think about how most people start their day. They wake up and immediately consume. They check messages, they scroll social media, they react to other people's priorities. Before they've even gotten out of bed, their brain is already in reactive mode. But when you make your bed first thing in the morning, something different happens. You start your day with completion, with control, with intention. You've already finished one task before the world starts demanding your attention. And that small psychological shift is more powerful than it looks. Because success, especially financial success, is deeply connected to how you manage small moments. Wealth is rarely built in one dramatic breakthrough. It doesn't usually come from one lucky investment, one viral business idea, or one big paycheck. Instead, wealth grows quietly through repeated disciplined actions over long periods of time. Saving a little consistently, investing regularly, improving your skills daily, making thoughtful decisions again and again. These actions are not exciting. They are often boring. And that is exactly why most people fail to stick with them. Discipline is not about doing big, heroic things once. It is about doing small, unexciting things consistently, even when you don't feel like it. Making your bed is one of the simplest daily reps of discipline available to anyone. It takes less than 2 minutes. It requires no money, no special talent, no perfect timing, just a decision. And every time you follow through on that decision, you are strengthening your discipline muscle. Just like money compounds. Discipline compounds too. One day of making your bed won't change your life. But hundreds of days, that begins to shape who you are. There is another powerful layer most people overlook. Habits don't just change your actions, they change your identity. Your brain is constantly collecting evidence about the kind of person you are. Every action you take is like casting a vote. Skip small responsibilities consistently, and your brain starts forming a quiet belief. I'm someone who avoids things. Follow through on small commitments repeatedly, and a different belief begins to form. I'm someone who finishes what I start. This identity shift is critical because behavior that matches your identity feels natural. Behavior that fights your identity feels exhausting. When you make your bed every morning, you are not just cleaning your room. You are voting for a new version of yourself, a more organized version, a more disciplined version, a more reliable version. And over time, your brain begins to accept this new identity as normal. Once that happens, bigger disciplined actions become easier. Saving money becomes easier. Sticking to investment plans becomes easier. Building long-term goals becomes easier. Because now, discipline is not something you force. It is something you are. There is also the power of momentum. Momentum is one of the most underrated forces in productivity and success. When your day begins with unfinished tasks and scattered energy, your brain tends to stay in that state. But when your day begins with completion, your brain looks for the next win. Think of it like pushing a heavy wheel. The first push takes effort, but once the wheel starts moving, each push becomes easier. Making your bed is often the first push. It creates a subtle forward motion in your mind. After that, it feels slightly easier to start your work, reply to important emails, focus on meaningful tasks, avoid unnecessary distractions. One completed action creates a chain reaction, and over weeks and months, those chains of productive days add up in a big way. Many financially successful people are not superhuman. They simply protect their daily momentum better than most. There is a famous lesson taught in military training programs. If you want to change the world, start by making your bed. This advice was popularized because of what happens psychologically on difficult days. Not every day goes well. Some days are messy. Some days you fail. Some days business doesn't work out. Investments fluctuate. Plans fall apart. But if you started your morning with one completed task, you always have one small victory to stand on. And when you come home at night to a made bed, it quietly reinforces something important. Even on imperfect days, you showed up. That builds resilience. And resilience is one of the strongest traits behind long-term wealth building. Because the road to financial success is rarely smooth, markets go up and down. Businesses struggle before they succeed. Careers hit plateaus before breakthroughs. People who build wealth are not people who never face setbacks. They are people who stay consistent through them. Now let's address an important truth. Making your bed alone will not make you rich. If it did, every neat person would be a millionaire. This habit is not magic. It is training. Think of it like doing one push-up. One push-up will not transform your body, but the person who does one push-up every day is far more likely to become someone who exercises regularly. The habit is a gateway, a signal, a pattern starter. Making your bed is a keystone habit, a small behavior that often triggers positive changes in other areas of life. When people start managing small areas of their life better, they often begin managing larger areas better too. They become more intentional with their time, more mindful with their money, more consistent with their goals. It's not about the sheets, it's about the standards you are quietly setting for yourself every single morning. Another subtle benefit is environmental psychology. Your surroundings affect your mental state more than you think. A messy space often creates low-grade mental friction. It doesn't always feel obvious, but it drains focus and clarity over time. A tidy bed, on the other hand, creates a small sense of order, and order reduces decision fatigue. When your environment feels under control, your mind has more energy available for important decisions, including financial ones. Wealth building requires many good decisions over long periods of time. Anything that reduces mental clutter helps. There is also a deeper emotional component. When you keep small promises to yourself, like making your bed, you build self-trust. And self-trust is quietly powerful. Many people struggle financially not because they lack information, but because they lack consistency. They plan to save, but don't. They plan to invest, but delay. They plan to build skills, but procrastinate. Over time, broken promises to yourself weaken your confidence in your own discipline. But every time you follow through on a small commitment, you repair that trust. You begin to believe, I actually do what I say I'll do. That belief is incredibly valuable because wealth building is a long game, and long games require trusting yourself to stay the course. So, what does all of this mean in practical terms? It means that small, structured habits in your daily routine matter far more than they appear to on the surface. Making your bed is not about perfection. It is not about impressing anyone. It is about starting your day as someone who takes action instead of postponing it. Tomorrow morning, when you wake up, pause for a moment before the phone, before the rush, before the noise of the day begins. Take 60 seconds, straighten the sheets, pull the blanket tight, complete the first task of your day. It will feel small, almost insignificant. But remember, wealth is rarely built through one giant moment. It is built through thousands of disciplined choices that most people consider too small to matter. Small habits, repeated daily, quietly shape powerful lives. So tomorrow morning, don't just make your bed. Start building the mindset that builds wealth. If you want to keep exploring money from a calmer, more mindful place, you're welcome here on Art of Money.